If you have been curious about getting into laser engraving, also potentially including it at your events and markets, hey yo, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Desiree, mom of 3 and the owner and maker behind The Handmade Mom. So this week's video is about something that you guys have been asking me so much about. Taking your Xtool F1 to markets and events to do live engraving. We're gonna be talking about what you need. If you have been curious about getting into laser engraving and also potentially including it at your events and markets, then you're gonna wanna stick around for this video. I do want to mention before we start this video that this is not a sponsored Xtool video. I have no affiliation with them at this time. I would love to one day, but at this time there's no affiliation with them. I just absolutely love using Xtool products, and it has been such a game changer for me and my business. So just so you know, this is not a sponsored video by Xtool or any other things that I mentioned in this video. If you are new here, then just a quick little background. I have been doing live on-site laser engraving at my markets and pop-up events since September of last year, and we are currently in June, the beginning of June of 2025, and I have been loving it. I implemented it right before the holiday season, and so I used the on-site laser engraving through this past holiday season, so I have learned a lot very, very quickly going that route. And it has been a huge game changer. I have been actually doing a pivot in my small business from solely product-based business to a product-based and service-based business using my laser and going on site for events. So yeah, if that gives you any kind of clue on my opinions and my thoughts about on-site engraving, then there you go. So that's just kind of like my quick experience in a nutshell with on-site engraving. Let's just get right into it because there's a lot. This machine that I have is not the only one out there. This is just from my experience, my knowledge with the equipment that I currently use. So first we're going to talk about what you actually need for being able to do live on-site laser engraving, because there is some equipment that is required. Obviously you'll need like a laser machine, but we'll talk about those in just a second. And some other things as well that you'll have to think about and consider and potentially invest in. What you need for personalization on site is going to be, of course, your laser. And I've already kind of mentioned the one that I have, and if you've watched previous market vlogs, then you've already seen the machine that I use, which is the Xtool F1. This particular machine is actually built specifically for being portable and being able to be moved around. I absolutely love the one that I have. Like I said, it's the Xtool F1. There is also 2 other F1 machines that Xtool makes, which are the Xtool Lite and the Xtool Ultra. I don't know all the nitty-gritty like specifics on that, but feel free to check it out. I will leave links down below in the description for you guys to check out and compare. There is price differences between all 3. Of course, it's also going to mean that there are differences in the capabilities of each of the machines. The F1, which is what I currently use, I am able to engrave on so many things, but what I mainly take with me to my events and markets and such are things that are leather, wood, or stainless steel. Okay, so now that the big one is out of the way, the laser, the next thing you're gonna need is a laptop or tablet or anything that you can run the program for your laser machine. For Xtool, I use their Xtool XCS program, and I use my laptop when I go to markets and events. I do know that it can be used with some iPads or tablets. I have seen another vendor who was using their iPad to run their laser machine, but I personally take my laptop. It's just easier for me to work with it, make the adjustments, type things, all that stuff. So the next thing you're gonna need is a purifier. I do have the Xtool air purifier that is compatible with the F1, and I take that with me because I do indoor events and indoor markets. If you are outdoors, you have a little bit more flexibility. It just depends on how like squished in they pack everybody, but I always would say to err on the side of caution and just invest a little bit more in getting the air purifier, so that way you are safe and protected, as well as your customers being safe and protected from any smells, fumes, things like that. The purifier does not eliminate the smells 100%, but it does help out quite a bit. So definitely recommend the air purifier as well. So this next one is sort of optional, like you don't need to invest in it, but you will have to invest in other ways. Let me explain. You are going to need a power source, right? So you are going to have to power up your laser and your purifier. And then if you are using like a laptop like I do, you will need potentially something that you can charge your laptop with. So when you're at vendor markets, you do sometimes have the option of purchasing electricity with your booth, but that comes with an additional fee. You do have to purchase it. It is generally not included. I think I've only ever done one event that electricity was included, but that booth fee was a really, really large booth fee. So it kind of made sense that it was already automatically included in there. But otherwise, generally speaking, electricity is not available to you and your booth unless you pay for additional. And then the other thing to keep in mind is not all markets have the ability to provide electricity. So if you are at an all outdoor event, there is probably a good chance that you're not going to have electricity, or not even have the option to add electricity to your booth. This is where having a power source of your own that you can bring with you is going to be very, very helpful, because you won't have to worry about where electricity is, where you're placed because of electricity, if there's even an option to add electricity, and all of that. I personally use the Jackery. Again, I will leave it linked down below, the specific one that I have. But I use the Jackery, and the one that I have is perfect for me because it has two outlets where I can plug in the F1 as well as the Purifier. And then there are other spots, other sections that have USB, USB-C, and I think there's something else. I don't remember what it is on there off the top of my head, but I am able to plug in my laptop into the USB-C port and charge my laptop as well when I need it. I have not had the Jackery lose power on me. I have gotten down to probably about 25 to 28%, something like that, in what was left in the Jackery, but otherwise that's the lowest I've ever gotten. So I have never run into the issue of running out of power. And I did do a show recently where I was there for 5 hours, I believe, and I ran my machine. Everything was turned on, plugged in for the whole time, and I did not even come close to running out of power on my Jackery. So I absolutely love it so much. When I do my big holiday market, it is a multi-day show, so I do take my Jackery home and charge it every single night, but that one charge overnight and I'm good to go for the next day. So yeah, I would definitely, if it's possible to add the investment of the Jackery, I would highly recommend adding it, just because it takes away the worry, like I said, of having to make sure that your booth has electricity. Sometimes you are only able to be placed in certain spots at a vendor market because of where electricity is. And then of course, the thing of no electricity being available at all. So the Jackery just nixes all of that, and you can go anywhere that you want to set up at. Definitely, if it is available in the budget, I would suggest adding a Jackery to the investment. Okay, so the last thing that you're going to need to be able to do live on-site laser engraving at markets and pop-ups is going to be products. There is a whole slew of products that you can do. Like I said, I mostly focus on wood, leather, and stainless steel, and there's so many other capabilities. Like I know the F1, and I'm pretty sure the F1 Ultra is able to do glass. I just haven't figured out the settings quite right on that one, but there's so many things. There's so many products that you could do. I've done pens, I've done keychains, I've done jewelry, I've done journals, I've done bookmarks, magnets, like so many things I have done with the F1, that you just have to figure out which products you want to provide, which ones are best suited for your business, your brand, and what audience you are trying to target. There are a lot of different places that you can get blanks from for your engraving. It's just going to depend on really what you're wanting to engrave. I will leave some links to some ones that you can grab from Amazon, just if you're wanting to try some things out, do some test runs and stuff like that. And then from there, getting involved in the community and learning and interacting with people, interacting with different Facebook groups. I have learned so much from them. You'll be able to find other companies that provide blanks that are really high quality, really amazing. But like I said, if you're just starting out and you're still not quite sure what you want to engrave, then I will leave some links down below for some blanks that I personally have tried and I personally use, that you could try and start off with, just to kind of get a feel for it. And then of course you'll be able to figure out and branch out from there. So I mentioned that it is a bit of an investment. There's a couple of varying factors that you have to keep in mind. Is sales that could be happening. When I bought my machines, they were actually on sale for the upcoming holiday season. So that definitely helped me out a lot. Also, of course, if you choose to go with another brand of laser purifier or power source. So just keep those in mind. And then on the very last point that I talked about, which was the products, that one is going to vary in price as well, simply based on what you're engraving, how many you're getting, where you're getting it from. There's so many different factors that can play into that. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But when I purchased my setup, again, it was right before the holidays. There was lots of big sales happening. So just keep an eye on those on the website because sales happen all the time. But I purchased the X-Tool F1, the F1 compatible air purifier, as well as the Jackery. I also had the Jackery. So that was about $2,200, so $2,200 for those 3 items. So that is roughly the investment. Again, keep in mind it could fluctuate, could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, depending on sales and promotions and things like that when you are purchasing. But that is what I purchased my setup at. I did already have my laptop, so I didn't have to invest in that, but I don't think I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about the laptop. I personally use a MacBook. It's just what I have used since college, and that's just what I continue to use. So I just use my laptop, which is a MacBook. And then for the products portion, the investment on that is really going to vary depending on where, okay, first actually depending on what you're engraving. So whatever you're wanting to test. So things like wood and some small leather pieces are going to be far less expensive of an investment to get bulk items or try out versus stainless steel jewelry, right? I offer both, and it is a bit of a price difference for me to purchase the blanks for those things, but that also obviously is reflected in the price that I charge my customers when they are getting them there at the markets to be personalized. So that part is really going to vary. I will leave some links down below for some things on Amazon that you guys can get quickly if you're wanting to just try out some things. There are lots of different companies and businesses that offer blanks for engraving. So once you kind of get started, start with the Amazon stuff, just kind of get a feel for it. You get to play with the machine, do some test runs, all of that. Then you can start looking for, okay, what am I going to actually engrave? What do I want to engrave? What fits within my business, my brand, all of that? Who am I trying to target? Like, there's a lot of things that you have to consider with that. And then you can find the companies that have the products you are looking for at the price point that you are looking for as well. Hey y'all, so this is actually editing Desiree, obviously a different shirt, hair's up in a ponytail, we're on a different day. But I am coming in to do the outro now because this video was supposed to be longer. It was supposed to go into specific products, pros and cons, things that I've experienced and learned, my thoughts, all of that in regards to on-site laser engraving at markets. But if you've been watching my channel for a while, then you probably already know that I am kind of long-winded. So this video was going to be super long. We're going to break it up into 2 separate videos. So this one, all about the things that you're actually going to need to be able to even do the engraving service on site. And then we'll put out the video with all the rest of the information that I recorded. Sometimes I know it can be really intimidating to want to add something or incorporate something or start with something, but you're not sure what equipment or things that you need to be able to even do that. And I know too, a lot of times it can be really overwhelming. I hope that this was simple for you in knowing what you need and also knowing kind of a general ballpark of what the investment you can expect to make is. So let me know down in the comments if you found this video helpful or if you plan on offering a live on-site engraving at your markets. All right, so that is gonna be it. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed with the notifications turned on, and then come back whenever I upload that next video so you can see more of my experiences with the X tool and live engraving on site at markets. I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.